Hi guys, this is Rodney. I'm here unpacking the standard, which is activity 1 for module 6, which is a part of planning and preparation for learning. I chose to use Engage New York middle school curriculum because DC Public and charter schools use this curriculum as a guide to instruct English and language arts. This also happens to be my first year teaching this subject. So I'd like to be prepared to plan for this content area next year. Furthermore, these two standards that I selected are anchor standards essential for students to demonstrate college and career readiness. Although the Engage New York curriculum is very detailed, it's still up to me as the teacher to plan for instructional differentiation, obviously, which is best for student learning. My goal is to be more familiar with this curriculum design and the presentation of the curriculum to ensure that I am hitting all those big ideas and within the standards and those 21st century skills. You heard me say big ideas. The big ideas actually emphasize the common characteristics of a unifying a concept. It's actually a concise statement of the principle and the generalization. It promotes an in-depth understanding and applies across disciplines. Okay, so as an example, I selected ELA Standard Literacy, RL 6.1. RL stands for Reading Literature, all right? And it's stated verbatim. To cite textual evidence to support analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. Okay, what's the big idea? Restating provable details increases your credibility as a reliable resource. The ability to formulate accurate predictions is the foundation of a good decision maker. Now here comes the unpacking. Okay, text is RI 6.1 to cite textual evidence to support the analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text. Okay, cite textual evidence to support analysis. Cite the text and draw inferences from the text. So I also selected RI 6.2, which is again another anchor standard, which is to determine a central idea of a text and how it is conveyed through particular details, provide a summary of the text from a personal opinions and judgments. All right, so as I unpacked it, I began with to determine a central idea of a text and how it is conveyed through particular details. Provide a summary of the text distinct from personal opinions or judgments. So here's the essential questions. What information, ideas are described in detail? So as students are actually reading, this question should actually be in their forefront. But as a part of my first lesson is to teach students how to ensure that these essential questions are in the forefront of their minds as they begin to scan and read the literature. So again, my first essential question is, what information, ideas are described in detail? What do I learn about the topic as I read? How do the ideas relate to what I already know? So as you can see, these essential questions actually lead to students being able to meet that big idea, the challenge of that big idea, which is to make inferences and to become better decision makers. Because in order to make an inference, it's based on textual clues as well as background knowledge. So What are the 21st century skills? All right, students will be able to develop information literacy. What does that look like? That means to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the information. And the second 21st century skill is students will develop critical thinking, where that is analysts of provable information to formulate a judgment. And finally, well, won't say finally, but next is the activities. Activity 1, the teacher presents an overview of the unit discussing the purposes and the elements of close reading. So again, this is actually teaching children how to think about those questions, all right? And then activity 2, students are orientated to the idea of attending to details through examining images, all right? Activity 1, assessment. Students use guided questions to independently explore multimedia websites. Through observation, I'm going to be identifying whether or not there's gaps in skills. Students will develop their own text-specific questions with which to analyze the text. Students will write 1 to 3 sentences explaining their analysis of the text and list supporting textual details. Okay? And the final assessment for activity, which will be activity 2, lead a discussion on what the groups noticed about the images and the questions they had. Discuss how the questions are text specific. Questions that emerge from looking closely at the image prompt them to look for more details that lead to greater understanding of the image. Students will list 3 details they think are key for them in the understanding something which is going on in the images. And students will write a caption that summarizes what they think about the image and share and compare captions, noting the details that have led them to what they have written. So this is the beginning of my exposure to unpacking English and language arts details, language arts Common Core standards. I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I look forward to your comments. Thank you. See you soon.